Neptunia Victory is the third installment of the mainline Hyperdimension Neptunia series. Now, our previous two videos in this franchise, we talked about the first game, and then Mark II. Now, the first game, I said, had the stronger story between the first two installments of the first Neptunia and Mark II. Mark II had the superior gameplay, but the weaker story elements, but it had more characters, playable characters. Enter Neptunia 3. Now, Neptunia 3, Neptunia Victory, Neptunia V, this isn't a 5, this is just V for Victory. Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory is just the third installment in the trilogy. There's a fourth one on the PS4, we don't have that, so we're not going to be talking about that one. We're only going to be talking about this one. Now, as we've talked about in the previous two installments, NIS of America, and all these other smaller companies, Idea Factory and Compile Heart, Cryware, all these guys, they all take part in this little game. And there's a ton of DLC. Thankfully, years and years ago when I picked this up, I did get all of the DLC party members, just the party members, but there's a lot in here. There's a bunch of outfits that you don't need. There's some item packs. There's how many playable characters that are DLC? You got IF, Compa. Yes, this is the first game in the franchise where IF and Compa are not main characters or party members. Instead, in this game, they are side characters. Though they appear in the game, they are not playable. I would argue that they should be, but whatever. They're DLC characters, so you can get those guys. I believe they're like $1.99 each. But those are the two cheaper DLC characters. The rest are $1 more at $2.99 each, or $3.99. I think it's $2.99. How many characters? Let's see. Let's try to remember. We got Broccoli, who is a small type of character that's on some sort of large little thingamajiggy that she whacks people with. Her personality is pretty fun. There's a lot of cutscenes with her that they add into the game. And they're all voiced. All of the cutscenes with these DLC characters are voiced, though half of the cutscenes in the main game story are not voiced, so it's refreshing to have a lot of more voiced cutscenes thanks to having all of these DLC characters. The other one is Mages. She is a mage-type character, naturally. And she represents, each one of these characters represents a company, a type of crossover, smaller company, a maker company, whatever. But I'm not too sure what Broccoli or Mages represent. But Mages has a cousin in the game story, and her cousin is 5PB, playable character DLC in the first game and main character in the second game. 5PB sadly is not part of this game, though 5PB, the company, did have a part in the game, so if they wanted to include her, they could have. They just chose not to. The Mages is in it, though, so there's that. And then you got Tekken. Naturally, if you don't know what that character represents, Tekken represents Tekken, the games, Tekken. And naturally, her character, her moveset, revolves around martial arts. And we've got Cyber Connect 2. That should be self-explanatory. CC2 is the company that she's representing. I don't know the games that CC2 makes off the top of my head. I might have played one, I just don't remember. Let's try to remember what else. Marvelous AQL. Marvelous AQL is represented from something, I don't know, I think it's a music label, I'm not too sure, but she's in here, she's a ninja type of character, so that's how many characters we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, alright, then there's Falcom. Now luckily with Falcom you get a twofer, okay, so you get two characters with one purchase. There's Falcom from the Ultra Dimension, we're going to get to that in a minute, and then there's Falcom from the Hyperdimension. Falcom from the Hyperdimension was a DLC party member, though she appeared in the main game, and they could have easily made her part of the main game in Mark II. In this game, she is still DLC, and there's two Falcoms that you could use. Alright, so that's great, you get 2 for. So I believe there's 10 playable characters that are DLC. So that's quite a bit of stuff to drop out. So that's annoying. Oh, very so annoying. Then there's about about 4, maybe 5 or 6 weapons that you can buy. I believe they're like $1 each, maybe $2 each. But they're really strong weapons. They're basically the strongest weapons in the game for that character, and you get it right away. So it basically turns the game onto easy mode if you buy at least one of them. And I did get one. I got the Mecha Nep Blade for Neptune, since Neptune is part of the game for the entire time. All of the other characters that are in the base game leave the party from time to time, except for, I think, maybe Plutia. But everybody else, they leave and come back every now and then. They stick together for the most part, but it got annoying when they left the party, so whatever. I got all the DLC party members because I like to collect the characters. I kind of gotten out of that OCD-ness, but it still bothers me that I have an incomplete game when I play these things, because I didn't have the DLC party members in either Neptunia 1 or Neptunia 2. I don't plan to get them, but it's still annoying to know that they exist, but they're not in the game, even though they are in the game. At least with where Neptunia Victory is concerned, all of the DLC party members, with the exceptions of IF and Compa, if you don't have them, they don't appear in the game at all. So it's not like you're going to miss them. It doesn't feel like you're getting an incomplete game. The only thing that you're missing is IF and Compa. I would think that they would be joining you into the party, but whatever. So there's 10 DLC party members. I did get those, and I got the Mecha Nep Blade. The Mecha Nep Blade, as I said, it is the strongest weapon in the game for that character. I play this game all the way to the post-game. You complete the story, and then with all the DLC party members, all of their weapons show up in the shop after every chapter or so. So you go into the shop and you buy their weapons. You don't find them in dungeons because, I don't know, they just decide not to program them into being drops in dungeons or whatever. They just threw them into the shop so you could buy them whenever you can afford them and all that stuff. So the best weapon in the game for, let's say, Tekken, a DLC party member, after you beat the final chapter in the game on the true ending, when you beat the final chapter in the game and you're in the post-game, you go into the shop and you see Tekken's ultimate weapon. It turns her attack into, say, 3,500. Well, Neptune's Mecha Nep Blade, that is available at the start of the game, once you buy it for $2 in the DLC store, makes Neptune's attack about 4,000 at level 1. So, naturally, it's a good weapon. Okay? So, if you wanted to do that early on, then more power to you if you feel like it. I still don't like the DLC crap. I wished that all of these DLC party members are just part of the main game, but I guess this is just how they make their money. They make their money through DLC. These are smaller companies, and it's just... But you still have to buy the game. You still gotta buy the game, and then you gotta buy the extra DLC. It's like, by the time you're done with buying all of the DLC crap, you're gonna end up with maybe $100, especially if you bought this thing brand new. I luckily didn't, so I paid maybe $25 for this instead of $60. But whatever, if somebody bought this for $60 and then they went, okay, I want all the DLC party members, I want all the weapons, I want all the costumes, I want all the outfits, they're probably going to be dropping about maybe $150 total. And I think that's very no. I think it's very no. Very, very, very no. And but it's got that psychological grab to you that you feel like when you look at that store, the PlayStation store, the Steam store, wherever you're playing this game from, the original version, the Rebirth version. I believe all the DLC party members are part of the main game, but don't quote me on that. They may still be DLC. I do not know. I don't have the Rebirth games, but you could check them out on Steam and see if they are in there or not. They prefer you play the Rebirth versions of these games to begin with, but hey, back to this. I wished that all of those were part of the main game because there's some sort of psychological draw, psychological lure. When you go into the PlayStation store or you go to the Steam store and you see that the base game is there, you can buy the game, but then you look at all that other stuff that's not in it. That's not in the base game. It's not in the base game. It's like, okay, you can't get to enjoy this, can't get to use these characters, can't get to use these weapons, can't get to equip these outfits unless you buy them and add them to something that you already paid for. And it's like, why? I hate that. You know, back in the days of the PS2 and the PS1, I say this all the time. Back in the days of the PS1 and the PS2 and all that crap, and you buy a game, there would be like a secret unlockable outfit or a secret unlockable character to play as or whatever that you had to do stuff in the game to get. You had to unlock them. Well, now it feels to me that a lot of those things, a lot of these unlockables are just taken out of the game and placed into the storefront to buy instead of unlock them through playing the game. Feels like a lot of games are doing that, have been doing that, and it just bothers me. If the game was free, I would have no qualms at all. That's how you make your money, through your digital storefront. If the game was free, that would make sense to me. But when it comes to games that you have to buy, the fact that you have to buy more things to make the game feel complete is bothersome to me, because it feels unfinished, it feels incomplete without these DLC things, whatever. Prime example, I know I've made this example all the time, but Dead or Alive 5. When you put your copy of Dead or Alive 5, particularly the PS3 version, let's say you got the copy of Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, right? You put it into your system, and then there's a mandatory patch for maybe 2 gigabytes that you gotta sit through. Once that's done, you go to the starting menu and it says Dead or Alive 5 Last Round. This is in the newer edition of Dead or Alive 5. They added more things to it, particularly more DLC. The majority of the DLC is outfits. If you don't give a crap about that, then you don't gotta buy it. Who gives a crap about those outfits? But what I'd like to talk about are the characters. The characters. So let's say you go into dual mode, basic player versus computer or player versus player 2, and you go into there and you go to the character select menu. There's about 8 little icons that's got that little nice little X through them. You go to it and it shows you that they're in the game. They show you that with that big patch, just added them in, but they locked it out. There's a little note that says, hey, this is in the game, but we're gonna lock it away from you. You gotta buy this to unlock it into the game that you've already bought, right? You gotta buy this. So you gotta go into the store and you gotta buy the character to remove that X from your fighter select screen so that you can select that character. Now, if you ask me, I think if you're gonna make a DLC, remove those icons from the character select screen entirely. And thankfully, Neptunia Victory does this. Thankfully. Because if you didn't have at least 8 of those playable characters, the DLCs, with the exception of IFC Alpha, there's no hide nor hair of them. In the story, you don't see anything about them, you don't learn anything about them, they're just not in the game, period. Which is a good thing, a very good thing, because you're not missing it unless you know it's there. And you'll only know it's there if you've checked the storefront before playing the game, which I tend to do out of habit. But, you know, there's always something I think, oh, what am I going to be missing something? So I go check the storefront. But if you've never checked it, you're probably not going to miss anything. So that's good, right? That's good for the player there. You don't really need the weapons, you don't need the outfits, you don't really need the characters, but they're good to have, because sometimes in the game, most of the party is going to leave, and you're going to be stuck with Neptune for a while. So if you wanted to have a full party, 4 characters in the main battle party and 8 the bonus party, you're going to want to get those DLC characters so you can have a full party, so you can keep going, when everybody else leaves the party. And then they'll come back eventually, but during that time when they left, if you want a full party, you gotta get those DLC characters. The DLC characters will never leave the party throughout the whole game. You get them at the start of the game, and throughout the whole game, they're gonna stay there. So that's good news, right? Right. Let's talk about gameplay. Now, combat is pretty much the exact same as Mark II, with some added improvements to the gameplay, namely the EX attacks. No, you would have up to 4 basic attacks, your basic attack, and then 3 combo attacks that you're going to add onto it. Now, unlike Mark II, where you had these CP points, where you say if you had 100 CP points, then you had your basic attack, which cost 25, and then you could add onto this attack that costs 16, this one that costs 25, and this one that costs 25. Well, then you could have a 4-hit combo. But let's say you put in a 25, a 25, a 50, and then a 50. Well, since you only have 100 CP in Mark II, you would only be able to do a 3-hit combo. Well, in this game, they do away with that crap entirely. You have your little command points bar or whatever, and then you just add attacks into that bar. You got 3 in each row for each of the main face buttons. The combo skill buttons, so you get your combo skills, the triangle. Your power attacks are all tied to the square button. You put those in. And then your break attacks are tied to the X button. They're not pick and choose anymore like the previous 2 games were. That, I think, was a good thing to do. They refined it. They refined the menus. The menus are great. They're at the best they've ever been in this game. What else can we talk about? EX attacks, right. So you got your main 4 attacks, your combo attacks. And in battle, as you attack enemies and as you get initiative strikes, so let's say you're in the dungeon and you see an enemy walking by and you attack him first and catch it by surprise. That's the initiative. Right, you take the initiative, you get some extra points to an EX bar. Now, the EX attack is your bonus 5th attack that you have to allocate in the command menu. You go into your menu, press triangle, go into the menu, and whatever, do it there, and you get your EX attack. And when you fill up the EX bar to at least 1, you can use your 5th bonus EX attack as many times as you want. It doesn't take up anything in the EX bar. Though there are 2 types of special attacks in this game. In the previous game, they combined your EX and your SP skills into one little menu. In this game, they split them up. You got your SP attacks, which are weaker, but they cost SP to use. For example, Neptune has a thing called Cross Slash or whatever. So you can use that, it costs maybe 200 SP to use, and she does like a 6 to 8 hit combo slash attack that does some really good damage. Or when you get the 1 EXE bar filled up through various random battles. Once you fill that up, you have the EX attack menu. And the EX attack menu goes from 1 to 4 depending upon how high your EXE bar has filled up. Every character has a level 1 EX attack, special attack, and it does some really massive damage. Then most of the characters have a combo skill, which basically means, like, let's say you got 8 active party slots, 4 in the front row, 4 in the back row, and in battle you could switch from your back row into your front row at any time. Now, when you have each character paired, there's 4 pairs, right? So let's say Neptune is in the front, you pair Compa in the back with Neptune. And let's say you got Noir right here. You cannot switch Noir for Compa. You can only switch Neptune for Compa, if that makes sense. Okay? Okay. Now, combo skills. Let's say you have a combo skill for Neptune and Plutia. They have to be paired in order to use this combo EX attack. They cannot both just be the active party unless you have a formation EXE skill. A formation EXE skill is different than a combo skill. And I know this is very confusing. I know. Let me see if I can just draw it out, because, you know, I have my handy dandy little thing. Let me grab my pen here. Okay. So we have 4 boxes, right? Let's see. Whatever. There you go. You got your 1, 2, 3. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you got your 4 boxes, 4 in the front row, 4 in the back. Let's just write F, and then B here, right? So you got 4 rows. So let's say Neptune is here. We're just going to say Nep. And let's say Noir is here. And let's put Plutia here. Neptune could have a formation skill with Noir and a combo skill with Plutia. The difference being, in battle, when you have at least 2 EX bars, let's say the EX bar, that'd be 1, that'd be 2, that'd be 3, that'd be 4. So let's say you filled it up to this point here. That is 1 in the EXE bar, right? Now you can't use anything other than Neptune's signature skill. So you do more combat, more regular random battles. Then you get your second EXE. Now you have 2 in that little number at the bottom, in combat or whatever. Now you can use things called formation skills and combo skills. Let's say Neptune has a combo skill with Plutia called Plutia Break or whatever, right? If Plutia was in the front row, let's say she is here, and you instead put Compa here, right? If Plutia was in the front row and you had Compa here, you could not use the combo skill between Nep and Plutia, right? You have to put Plutia in the back row paired with Neptune in order to use Neptune's combo skill with Plutia. Now let's say there's a formation skill. Neptune has a formation skill with Noir. Now a formation skill is different than back row crap, right? So you could use the formation skill if Neptune and Noir were paired, or if Neptune and Noir were in the active party together. So if Neptune and Noir are in the active party, they could use the formation skill. That's, I believe it was called Noir HDD. That's their formation skill. So you could use Neptune in battle and select Noir HDD. Noir is in the battle party. You can use it. It's a formation skill. Your party is formated in the party, whatever. It makes more sense when you play the game. There's a lot of tutorials and crap like that. They just bombard you with a bunch of tutorials. It got annoying to eventually because I knew how to play the game. But if you don't, there's a crap ton of tutorials, so you're never gonna be lost. You're not gonna be lost. You can look at a tutorial at any time. But that's their EX skills, right? That's the biggest change to the combat, is the EX skills, okay? Now, in terms of story, Neptunia Victory, Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory is, I would say, either tied for first place with Neptunia 1 or superior to Neptunia 1, but in different ways. This definitely is the funniest game of the trilogy. This is the funniest one. Neptune is at her best. Melissa Fawn is back to voice Neptune, and she is at her A game. Neptune is hilarious. She is hilarious. There's so many self-aware scenes where, like, Neptune makes a note that she's the main character, and then she learns that in a popularity poll in Japan in between the second game and the third game's release, people thought that Noir was the better character compared to Neptune, and Neptune realizes that she's in second place on a popularity poll, and she gets upset at Noir for that. There's a lot of self-aware wall-breaking moments. There's so many video game references. Instead of just going to find a little cutscene learning about a specific game as a little reference or a nod, all of those nods to video games are in the main story's cutscenes. They just make a note of them, and they derail the story sometimes when they're going through banter, and it's great. It is fantastic. The main 4 CPUs are back: Neptune, Noir, Blanc, and Vert. And then the CPU sisters from the second game, Nepgear, Uni, Rom, and Ram, they're back. Difference being, while Nepgear joins the main party in the in the game, you have to get the true ending to unlock the other 3 CPUs, right? You have to get the true ending to unlock these 3, okay? Now, the party members in this first game, if you don't do the DLC, you have, so we've already listed 8. So you got Nep, Noir, Blanc, Vert. These 4 are very easy to get. They're part of the main story. And Nepgear, let's add that one. She joins pretty early, too. And Plutia, let's talk about Plutia. Let's add her down here. Plutia. Now, I mentioned a thing called the Ultra Dimension. This game talks into multiverse theory, though they don't get too complicated with it. They're just using it as a joke. Now, in the story, Neptune encounters a character called Ray Rights. Ray Rights has been corrupted by another character called Cror, the antagonist to this game. And Cror gives Ray Rights a certain item. Let's call it the Plot MacGuffin. And the Plot MacGuffin activates when she meets Neptune in a certain cutscene early in the game, in the tutorial. And this MacGuffin teleports Neptune to another dimension where she never became a CPU of Planetune. Instead, Planetoon's CPU is Plutia, a purple-haired, ditzy character, a lot like Neptune in many ways. But there's some minor differences to make Plutia her own character, and she is fantastic as well. She makes a lot of fourth wall breaks. Her and Neptune are great together with their comedy routines. It is hilarious. They derail so many serious conversations, much to Noir's chagrin. It is fantastic. If you are a fan of video games, and video game references, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is perfect for that. If you've been playing video games since the days of the Sega Genesis, this is there for you. This has all sorts of jokes and nods. They even get into Atari. Let's talk about Atari even. Oh, right, I forgot. I gotta add one more character to this list here. So let's Udi, Rom, and Ram. And then there's Pishi. You're going to meet Pishi pretty early, but she's not going to be playable unless you're on the good ending pathway. There's 3 endings. You get the normal ending, the good ending, and the true ending. To get the good ending, there are, I believe, 6 items. Basically 6 cutscenes, because you're going to know it's a cutscene. It's going to say new. Let's make a little map here. So let's say you got a map, blah, blah, blah. There's your little blob. And in here, there's Planetune, right? Neptune, right? And then there's the dungeon here, dungeon, whatever. Now, when there's a cutscene that you're going to need to view, this little side cutscene, during parts of the game where you have to do a certain guild mission, and you know you haven't completed this guild mission, but you see a new little icon show up on your map here under Planetune, that means there's a cutscene there for you to go. So in your menu, you click to go to Planetune, and you'll see a cutscene. And then you'll get a certain key item. I believe you'll get up to 5 or 6 key items. And once you have collected all of those key items, you will unlock the good ending when you play through the game normally. In the good ending, you will unlock Pishi. So if you're not on the true ending, your party is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. On the normal ending, you're only going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters. In the true ending, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 characters, plus the 10 DLC party members, giving you a grand total of 20 playable characters, which is fantastic. Each one is useful in their own types of ways. And like I said, you got to get on the true ending path to get these 3. Let's talk about how you get on the true ending path. Well, after you've gotten into the good ending path, and you'll know you're on the good ending path because Pishi will have joined your party at that point. Once she's joined your party, then you have to see 6 cutscenes in bonus dungeons. Bonus dungeons. We're going to talk about the scout system, another major important system. So let's say in your menu you have a thing called Scout, and in it you have a series of characters. You can have these characters go on missions for you. You could send these guys, say, into that dungeon, send this guy into that dungeon, send this guy into this dungeon, and send this guy also into that dungeon. And you can give them a certain fee between 500 coins, 100 coins, 1,000 coins, 10,000, or even 100,000 coins. Depending upon how much you pay your scouts, they will find different things when they're exploring. And sometimes, when they're out exploring a dungeon, they will find a new dungeon. So you send your scouts out there and say, I found a bonus dungeon. This dungeon is located right here, right? And there's about 10 to 12 bonus dungeons, but only 6 of them is going to have the cutscene that you need. But you need to have found these dungeons in order for these things to activate. So once you're on the good ending pathway, you will find that in this bonus dungeon that you have unlocked, there is now an icon that says New. So when you go to this dungeon, you have to explore it to find a certain location to activate a cutscene. Once you've activated that cutscene in 6 different locations, you will be on the true ending path. You just play the game as normal, and then you will get into the true ending path, unlock UD, ROM, and RAM, and now you are at your full party. Sad to say, these 3 characters join the final chapter of the game. You don't really get too much time to use them. But then again, the post-game is where you're going to be spending the bulk of your time. Because the game can be completed anywhere between level 80 to 99. And without any DLC, I believe 99 to 100 is the max level, right? Well, in DLC, luckily there's a free level cap increase DLC that will increase your character's levels, I believe, by 250 points. But there's a glitch. Okay? There's a glitch that allows this to be maxed to 999. So you just need to get this one free DLC level cap increase to get to 999 max level. Because it's the final level cap. So when you get that, the game thinks you've already got the other 3, which you do have to buy. So it'll boost it to 999 through a glitch. And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic glitch. Now, since you could beat the game, the true ending, final boss, anywhere between level 80 and 99, you don't really need to do this. But then you will have basically spent all but maybe 30 minutes with UD, ROM, and RAM. If you'd like to use your max party to the utmost potential that these characters could offer, there are a bunch of free Coliseum missions that you can buy. I mean, not buy, but free Coliseum missions that you can download off the PlayStation Store. These feature some of the hardest battles in the game that you're going to need to be anywhere between 250 to 999 in order to even stand a chance. So you're going to spend a lot of time grinding your levels up to this if you feel like doing it. In which case you'll have plenty of time to spend using UD, ROM, and RAM. Okay, now we've talked about the scout system, we've talked about the Coliseum missions, we talked about the guild in the previous game, we talked about the Coliseum in the previous game, right? And we talked about how there's a bunch of fourth wall breaking jokes during the storyline. Let's talk about the story now, just the basic overall story. Is the story superior to Mark II? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in terms of, like, tone, this is definitely the funniest of the trilogy, but it is also easily the most derailed. Almost every cutscene is derailed into jokes and gags. But there are some moments where the tone is very serious, and you do actually surprisingly feel for a lot of these characters. There are some moments in this that I get really deep, and I never thought that the story would get to that point. I'm not going to spoil the story. I'll spoil the gameplay all I want, but I'm not going to spoil the story too much, because the story is what I played these games for, you know? I didn't max out my character 999, I just got to like maybe 150 or something, and then I got bored of it. But I did the complete story, did all the cutscenes. The story is what you want this game for. There's so many lengthy cutscenes, and it's fantastic. The dialogue for everybody is on point, it's great, but it does deviate from the plot line. They derail all the cutscenes to jokes and gags, and if that's not what you're looking for in these games, which it probably should be what you're looking for if you're going to be playing Neptunia anyways, but if you've played the first game and you liked that balance between tones of seriousness and jokiness, there's a little balance there. And in the second one, it's a little bit more serious, but the story wasn't that good, the jokes weren't that good either, so it was just a mess in that one. But the gameplay was superior to the first one. Now, in the third one, it has the best gameplay of the trilogy. It has the best jokes of the trilogy, though I would argue that the first game has a better balance between the tone of the story and the strength of the story, and the jokes and the strength of the jokes. It was perfect balance between the two. In this one, the balance is kind of all over the place, so you'd be pretty remiss if you think the first game story is better. But if you don't, and you think that this game story was perfect and great and fine, then that's fine, because that's probably what I would think. I'm on the fence. I don't know which one's better story-wise, but since this is the best gameplay, and since it's tied for story with the first game, if there's one I would be going back to play again, it would be this one over the first Neptunia. But then, again, I digress. I say to play the Rebirth titles. The Rebirth version of the first Neptunia has Neptunia Victory's gameplay incorporated into it. So it has the best story and the best gameplay incorporated in, and that's the way to play these games. The best way to play them is on the PC or PS4 or whatever, play the Rebirth titles. And you'll have a great time, I assure you. If you're interested in this type of stuff, that is. If you're not, then you're probably going to be lost. You're probably going to be like, get on with it, whatever. But if you like fourth wall breaking jokes, if you like learning odd little tidbits about game industry, like the Atari thing. Let's talk about Atari real quick. The main villain in this game is called Ray Rights. And Ray Rights is a former CPU of a nation called Tari, T-A-R-Y. And that nation was doomed to collapse. There was a big crash where she ended up having to do something terrible to her land, and Atari crashed. This is a nod and a joke to the video game crash in, I believe, the 80s or something, where Atari finally fell into the pits, and Nintendo came in to fill the void with the Nintendo Entertainment System. And the rest is history, as you know. But prior to Nintendo, we were in the age of Atari, the PC Engine, like I believe the Commodore. That we had a whole era of video games before the crash. But when the crash happened, there was this big void that Nintendo filled. And fill it they did with the Nintendo Entertainment System. But there's a lot of nods to that stuff. If you're aware of the video game industry's history and all of the major events that have happened, this game will be very you will appreciate a bunch of the cutscenes in this, because they poke at it as well. And it was fantastic. It was. So I would say, if you're a fan of Japanese RPGs, particularly turn-based, if you thought that Persona 5 was very fun gameplay-wise, you might be interested in playing Neptunia. I would say to give it a shot, particularly this one, but after this, I did play this one first, before playing the other two. So this was my second playthrough, and I would agree. I would agree that you should probably play Mark II before playing this one. You don't really need to play the first one before playing this one, but you definitely need to play Mark II before playing Victory, because there's a lot of nods to Mark II, a lot of story asides, and a lot of cutscene alliterations, Easter eggs, things that you're not gonna get the first time around if you hadn't played Mark II like me. But now I could appreciate all of those cutscenes and Easter eggs and nods to the Mark II game after having played it. And if there's one con, I would say, well, this game was very aware that Mark Mark II didn't perform so well. This game is very aware that the characters of Nepgear, Uni, Ram, and Ram weren't as strong as the main four of Neptune, Noir, Blanc, and Vert. The game is aware of it, and they try to joke about it. As a result, Nepgear, Uni, Ram, and Ram are treated as a joke. Particularly Nepgear, because she's in the game for most of the game. She's in the party for most of the game. She's the butt of every joke. Everybody makes fun of her, and she has no confidence, and it's just very sad to see what happened to Nepgear in this game. If you were a fan of her character in the second game, like I was, seeing what happened to her in this third game really hurts, man. They are brutal to this character. And it's almost like they're aware that Mark II failed, and they want to wipe it under the rug and tell the player, hey, I get it, you didn't like Mark II. Well, now we're going to make fun of Mark II in our own game. It's just, even though they're canonically following Mark II in the story, you know, Mark II was set in a different universe from the first Neptunia game. This one doesn't. It follows Mark II story-wise. Everything that happened in Mark II happened in this game's past. So you're going to need to know what happened to it. But they're still making fun of these characters, and I thought that was pretty weak to do. It was pretty insulting to do to Nepgear. And then getting these three at the end of the game instead of having them in the midway points, it's just feels like they were an afterthought, or they were intentionally placed into the background because people just didn't like that anymore. And it's just, I disagree with that decision. Mark II may not have been the strongest game, but it is not Nepgear's fault that Mark II failed. Whatever. If you want to play this, play this. If you don't, then don't. I spent 40 minutes discussing it. I'm not going to spend another 40 minutes. Whatever. Be imaginative, everybody.